Today's show brought to you live from Lounge Media Group Studios. It's Pedro and the Freight Hound with the Logistics Lounge. The views and opinions expressed on this show by its guests are not necessarily those of Lounge Media Group or the show host. So if you sue someone, make sure it's the party responsible for hurting your feelings. Also, grow up, be an adult, and understand not everyone thinks like you. And that's okay.
Yo, yo, yo! What's crack-a-lagging, everybody? Mr. Talamo, how are
Happy
you
Wednesday.
doing, good sir?
Doing great, man. It's Wednesday.
Yeah,
Halfway. We made it halfway, man.
that's right. Halfway, dude. We're almost done, man. Almost done. And then we just get to start it all over again. It sucks, you know. But it's what we do. We love it. It's logistics. It's amazing. We literally make the world go round. I mean, you know, how freaking cool is that? So Obviously, everyone, you see Mr. Hound. He's not with us yet again. He is continuing his hiatus with his family. His family decides to stay a little longer up there in Nashville. So he's spending some time with him. And so we got Mr. Talamo here on. Y'all all know him. You all love him. So no need to really introduce him. He's been with us for absolutely ever. So again, thank you for coming, Steve.
Absolutely.
My day was great, Steve. It was amazing. Thanks for asking. Let's see. Delivered my first load for a new customer. Yay me. Where's the round of applause button there? Let's go. All right. Yeah. So did that, man. Made some calls, went to the gym, crushed a workout. Absolutely love it. I'm feeling it now, but it was a great time. And that's it. Now I'm here with all of you. So yeah, that was my day. Thank you for asking, Steve. I really appreciate it.
I was just admiring your hat, man. That's why I was focused on your hat, man.
This whole thing. I can't remember. It's on my thing, but it's a AR Doc Pro hat. That's what it is. Yeah, it's a pretty cool hat. But those guys over there, they're all right. They're all right. You know them. You know them.
Yeah, I've met them a couple of times.
Yeah. They're pretty cool, man. Speaking of AR Doc Pro, it's time for some news. Brought to you by AR Doc Pro and Trucking News Hub. All right. Looks like we are walking back our news from last week. I cannot remember if it was Wednesday or Friday. I think it was Wednesday. But this is an update on the BOI situation. So let's go ahead and get to it. After more than a year of on again, off again requirements for small business owners, the U.S. Treasury has announced, they announced March 2nd, that it will not enforce any fines or penalties against companies that do not report their beneficial ownership information, or BOI, which was required by the Corporate Transparency Act. So there you go. I mean, that's really it. I mean, I could could go over the whole thing and explain to everybody what it is again, but this is basically some information they're collecting on small businesses and reporting it to the financial crimes department or whatever. Just basically, so hey, we're not money laundering or whatever, and people are all up in arms about it. It's kind of, but typical people, they're stealing my information. You know what I mean? They want stuff that the government already has on me. But yeah, so they're not doing it anymore. So there we go. Good deal. They are actually, when we get down here, they are going to do it, I believe, for one thing. For foreign companies. So if you are a foreign company that is doing business in the United States, you do have to still fill out the BOI. So if you're not headquartered here, and the requirement is for companies with fewer than 20 employees. So, I don't know how many foreign companies that would, touch, but if you're a foreign company,
it's like half the brokers.
Yeah. Hey, dude, maybe this will help us with the broker part of the broker problem, right? Dude, never know. You never know. Maybe
it is crazy though, because I have to do it for two companies, and the information that they're getting in that literally is the exact same information you have when you file for your LLC. I mean, it was stupid. Like to go through there and do it, it was like redundant information. But I'm glad it's gone.
Yeah, it was. I mean, we did it too, and it was easy, But I get it, man. Hey, people like their privacy and stuff, so they didn't want to do it, and that was kind of the whole deal with this. Was people felt like it was unnecessary and stuff. So, but Department of Treasury said, hey, don't worry about it. So there you go.
You heard it here on the Logistics Lounge.
Yeah. So yep, and that may be the end of it. It says suspended, but I mean, I think this is probably going to be the final nail. You know what I mean? It's gone, it's gone, it's came, and so I don't think that they're going to just keep wrestling with this thing and wasting people's time.
It was crazy too, like the announcement of it, and even the communication when it first came out was like they didn't send it out in the mail. Like it was like, hey, you got to do this, and it didn't really tell you how to do it. Like I actually found it by mistake when and I was like, is this for real? Do I really have to do this? And then I found out that, oh shit, yeah, I do.
Yeah, I found out about it. My wife sent me a TikTok, man. Like, I didn't know anything about it either, dude. I mean, luckily found out about it right after we, started our LLC and stuff. But same thing, like no one told us about it. You figure when you get your LLC and do your stuff, the Secretary of State, that they would, say, hey, by the way, you need to do this if you meet these requirements or whatever. And nobody, like, there's nothing out there saying that that you had to do it. And I mean, you're just one of a bunch of stories or a bunch of stories from people who've heard the same thing. Like they just accidentally found it out, or like their tax person told them, their bookkeeper, whatever. So. Anything else?
I gotta figure out how to. We gotta. Maybe at the end of the show, we'll show people how to add the new Logistics Lounge app to their phones, so they can get all the exciting updates and news and all that stuff right at the touch of their fingertip with the app.
Oh, is Brian done with it? I thought he was still messing with it.
It's running pretty good right now. So I mean, just like anything with your website, we'll always continue to add and improve. But yeah, the app's there, man.
Oh, well, there you go. Hey, Logistics Lounge app. If you don't know, now you know. Didn't know it was finished, dude. So thanks for telling me. Brian was messing with it on the weekend. It's like, here, look at this. And I was like, okay. Like, looked at it, just waiting for him to let me know, dude, we're good. So hey, there you go. Logistics Lounge app. We'll drop away for y'all to download. It just goes to our website and goes to news feeds and stuff like that. So y'all can get news and see the updates, and instead of just going to each of our social media platforms. So and that's from our good friends over at AR Doc Pro. You need some web hosting, some IT stuff, and y'all guys do a bunch of other things. Steve, what all do you do before we get to our guests? Go ahead and give yourself a plug.
Hey, man. The business slogan is your business simplified. So if you think of something that your small business needs, we do it. Everything from accounts receivable, invoice tracking, invoice creation, like web design, IT support, create apps. I mean, anything you need for your small business, it's a one-stop shop. And if we don't do the service, we'll probably find a way to include it in there. But yeah, I mean, everything from data storage to invoicing, everything. So come check us out.
Nice. Check you out where?
You can get us on LinkedIn. You can get us on Facebook. Get us on Instagram. We have a website, ardocpro.com.
Thank you, Steve. You're awesome, man.
You can go to the Logistics Lounge Show website and go to the bottom of it, and where it says homies or partner support, you can click us there and get to us. And we got all kinds of ways to get to us.
That's right. All right. There you go, Steve. There's your free advertising. We will be taking that off our invoice. All right, man. You got anything you want to add or talk about before we bring this young man on?
Let's bring Thomas on.
All right, let's do this. Thomas with Perseuss, everybody. Thomas. Hey,
what's up, man?
What's up, brother? How are you doing?
I'm doing very good. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm curious, how was your workout?
Dude, it was great, man. I had a fantastic workout, man. It was awesome, dude.
You do legs?
No, man. I don't do legs much. I should, but I'm a little fearful of, like, I have nerve damage to my legs and stuff, man. So I don't have total control of them, and so I'm a little iffy on anything where all the weight is supported by my legs and one of my legs give out, and I'm the person you see on a gym video that, like, got crushed. But yeah. No, I start out on the row machine. I do 2,000 meters on the row machine, and then I either hit the treadmill, hit the bike, and then I usually finish off with like 30 minutes of weights, and one day, biceps, back, next day biceps, chest, next day tries and back, switch up stuff. So it's good, dude. I love it. It's my me time, man. I go in the middle of the day. There's almost nobody there, dude. So it's really nice.
You do the treadmill too?
Yeah. But I can't run. Like, I can walk really fast. Like, you want to have a speed walk contest? I'll kick your ass. But yeah, you want me to run? I cannot, because I have what they call drop foot. So like I literally trip over myself all the time. My own feet. So if I try to run, it literally looks like a horse gallop. Like, I could do I'm serious as shit, dude. Because I mean, with drop foot, I have to pick my foot up when I walk. I can't. It doesn't bend. It's already bent down, so I can't pick it up. So when I walk, I literally pick my foot up. When I walk, I'm just so doing it so long that, I've got decent usage back of it. But when I run, the faster I go, I can't keep up with it. So I have to pick my leg up higher, and it literally ends up looking like a gallop, man. I swear to God. Yeah. I can do a slow jog, but
Sorry to
that's
hear
about
that,
it.
man.
I
Yeah.
love it.
Well, about, yeah.
I love it when people say stuff that then I get a visual stuck in my head. So
Bro, when Steve, check this out. When we next see each other, me and you will go off somewhere private. You will leave your phone with my wife, and I will leave my phone with my wife, and I will run for you, and I will show you, bro, so you can have that laugh and like have that visual in person, because it is funny as shit, man. I used to build fences with a friend of mine, Chad, and every time I would try to run and stuff, dude, he would make like a horror sound and go.
It's so funny.
Yeah, man, it's fucking funny. But anyway, this ain't about me. I had a good one. Well, I see you got some equipment back there, Thomas. You into fitness and stuff?
Oh yeah, it's like a little tower here. You can do some pull-ups, you can do some dips, and you can do some push-ups here too. It's no, I work out. I try to work out daily. So this little setup, generally when I have like 30 minutes before meetings, I can squeeze in like a 15-minute workout, and with some change for shower. So yeah, that's kind of how I roll. Like quick workouts, but every day. If I can do every day a little workout, I'm good. And yeah, just kind of like maintaining the little that's left. I used to be like a competitive athlete, so there's some muscle memory. So now I'm just sort of like, delaying the inevitable decay as long as possible.
these are my workout tools.
Nice. I also unapologetically skip leg day. I feel like you like apologized for it a little bit, but I'm like, if someone's like, if I do legs, I'm like, no, and I know, and I'm proud of it.
Dude, I was huge into fitness in my early 20s, like when I was in the military, and probably till about like 31, 32. And even then I never did leg days, like, I don't know. I always had a buddy of mine that I used to work out with, and he only used to work like certain things. He was a huge arm and chest guy and never worked his abs. I was like, bro, why don't you ever do abs? And he was like, because I don't care what my stomach looks like. I was like, okay, bro. And his thing that was his deal. And he's like, he would only work out things that he cared about looking good. So
Right.
he was the weirdest person. But I always thought about that. I was like, I really don't care what my legs look like. I think they look fine. So, whatever.
Yeah, that's kind of how I feel about legs.
Well, we're gonna get more into you being a competitive athlete here when you tell us your backstory, but also later throughout the show. Really want to hear some of that. But we'll start off with you like we do with everyone, Thomas, and that is, who is Thomas, and how did you get to be the founder of Perseuss? Am I saying that right? I assume that's what it is, correct?
Perseuss.
I thought so.
Greek mythology. It's like when you're super into Greek mythology, but then the domain that you want is taken already. So, you slap a second S at the end. and that's what it is. But yeah, so who is Thomas, right? So, and how did I end up doing this? So I'm from the Czech Republic. My dad is American, my mom is Czech. I grew up mainly in Europe, and how I ended up doing what I'm doing right now. Well, it all just kind of started with I was always into math as a kid, and that led me to study mathematics at university. Before mathematics at university, I did competitive gymnastics. And so I did that until around 19. But then university kicked into high gear, and I also realized I could not really make a living doing gymnastics in Eastern Europe. So I studied mathematics because that's what I always liked. There was not really a premeditation for like, am I going to make money doing mathematics? Is mathematics useful to society somehow? I just like doing math, and I like doing hard things, and math was hard. So that's what I did. But then, after I got my degree, Amazon scooped me up and that's how I started working in supply chain technology. You know, it turns out Amazon had, they had like these programs where they would like recruit mathematicians, and then they would put them to work on supply chain problems. And there's like a lot of problems that mathematicians work on at Amazon, not just supply chain related, but I was put in charge of like building algorithms for routing trucks, algorithms for like putting packages in trucks and stuff like that. And that was really, really cool. Did that for 5 years. 2.5 years I worked for Amazon in Europe, in Luxembourg, and then I transferred to Seattle. Did 2.5 years there. I was like, wow, this is amazing. America is amazing. How do I, land of opportunity? How do I loved Amazon. Like, Amazon was very, very nice to me. But at some point I got kind of bored, and I was like, I want to do something on my own. And so I just left Amazon with this like pretty broad, like ambitious but broad vision of like bringing Amazon level supply chain technology to smaller warehousing companies. And I just kind of felt that there is a need for, these smaller, less tech sophisticated companies to get help from people like me that used to work at these super sophisticated companies, right? And like it wasn't super clear to me about how that would work, but I just knew there is something there. So I left, and then very quickly I found some like initial design partners in New Jersey, and they had a very specific packing problem. I solved that packing problem for them, and then it turned out that this packing problem is way more universal than just for them. So I went from essentially doing like consulting to, okay, I guess I'm now just reselling this software that I wrote once. And yeah, it's been going very well. But I went on like a couple of tangents there, so I hope I answered your question sort of satisfactorily.
No, you answered it absolutely fantastically, man. Thank you very much. Gave us a lot of substance there, and that's exactly what we need. We'll get back to this stuff before logistics here in a bit. Okay, we'll end the show on all that, but let's Amazon. You're the, I guess, second person that we've talked to. Well, third person we've talked to that worked at Amazon, but was from an obscure field that you wouldn't relate them with being part of Amazon and their supply chain. We have another friend. He helped put together Amazon Relay here in the United States. I'm sure you know what that is. So and excuse me, man. Anyway, so you being a mathematician and them hiring, that is pretty weird that they were looking for folks like that. Like, and were you there like writing code? Like, I mean, how did like kind of that happen? Like, did you teach yourself that? Was that something that you learned in college as well, or what?
Yeah. So there's two parts to the question. I'll answer the one about like, why does Amazon hire mathematicians? So that was counterintuitive to me too. It's like, why does Amazon even want to hire me? But it turns out that it's actually in the book, The Everything Store, like the original book about Bezos by Brad Stone. It's like really good if you guys haven't read it. But there, when Amazon was growing, and they started to put together these fulfillment centers, Jeff Bezos, what he first thought he needed was to hire a bunch of ex-Walmart people to like design the Amazon fulfillment centers from the people who were the state of the art at the time, right? Which were the Walmart people. But then the Walmart people came in, and they started doing things the Walmart way. But turns out like the Amazon business model is completely different than the Walmart business model, right? Walmart is retail. Right. And whereas Amazon was e-commerce, which at the time, no one was an expert on e-commerce. And when they were thinking about it, they realized that they have this very unique problem of, we kind of need to have like all inventory needs to be warm, because any inventory can Did I drop?
You're back. You're back. You're
We're
good.
back.
We lost you for about 5 seconds.
All right, cool. So yeah, they essentially realized this that their unique inventory problem about like how the inventory could be ordered at any moment from the facility, and someone needs to like quickly grab it and pick it. And there's so many sub problems to like where do you actually place the inventory such that it's pickable. The warmer items need to be kind of pickable faster and whatever. But they realized, okay, all these ex-Walmart people, they're not going to solve this. They have no idea how to solve this. These are essentially like mathematical riddles, right? Like, how do you place items in a warehouse in a way that you minimize some distance traveled or whatever? And they realized like the only people that are going to solve this problem are, PhDs with mathematics and physics, right? And so then Bezos hired Jeff Wilke, and then Jeff Wilke essentially hired like a gazillion PhDs who started like cracking on these problems. And this tradition of just like hiring people with very strong quantitative backgrounds to just crunch numbers and like enforce sort of like data driven and like mathematical equation driven decision making has been, it's very much in the Amazon DNA. Like people are obsessed with data and obsessed with numbers at Amazon, and that's something that definitely stuck with me, and I really admire that. That was the first question. Do you want me to answer the second question too?
Yes, because I mean it has to do with where you're at now. So I mean,
Yeah,
we got to lead into it. Yeah.
So this is something very interesting about education in Europe versus education in America. In America, you kind of, when you get accepted to university from high school, you kind of have like 4 years to like figure out what is it that you actually want to do. You take some math courses, you take some computer science courses, you take some liberal arts, whatever, and then maybe you end up being a doctor anyways later. In Europe, it's a little bit different, especially in Eastern Europe, Czech Republic, where I grew up. It's like from high school, you kind of need to know what you're going to do, because you don't apply to a university. You apply to a specific department within a university. And then it's kind of like tedious changing department. So I just applied to the mathematics department. And that just meant that all my curriculum, it was just like math, linear algebra, calculus, like geometry, blah, blah, blah. Like maybe like 90% of my credits was math. And so luckily, a few years before I enrolled, there was a very smart dean of the university who said, you know what, I think it'd be useful if the mathematicians had like a few courses on coding too, and because mathematics and coding are kind of related, but like coding is actually very useful for the economy. So like, why not like just train mathematicians in coding? If they want to stay in academia, that's great. So this very smart dean enforced the school like teaching theoretical mathematicians like me like 2 courses per year in coding the first 2 years. So I actually learned some coding in university, just not super deep, but like decent enough that I could like get started. And then I did a bunch of internships. I was very active during my academic year, so I did internships during the summers. And so by the time I was sort of done with school and I was applying to jobs, I was ready to like pass the interviews and get in.
Wow, man! You don't mind me asking how old are you, Thomas?
I'm 29.
Oh, okay, all right. That's what
I just turned 29 a month ago. Yeah.
Oh well, happy belated birthday, man.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right. So let's get into Perseuss here, man. We talked about you getting, being the math stuff, getting your taste for logistics at Amazon. And again, hey, he's like the millionth person we've talked to that just fell into this stuff, just, randomly fell into logistics, but what is the idea behind Perseuss? You said that you want to take that Amazon level knowledge and tech and give it to the little guy. So tell us what Perseuss is. What do you do? What problems you solve?
Yeah. So Perseuss right now, the Amazon level technology to smaller businesses, that's the ultimate vision, right? Where that's what the idea with which I started this whole thing. But at some point you need to like get grounded, and you need to solve a specific problem for specific people with very specific budgets, right? And ROIs. So the specific value proposition of Perseuss right now is, if you're a warehouse and, either you're a 3PL, you're shipping other people's stuff, or you're a distributor or a brand and you're shipping your own stuff to other people, right? And you're using FedEx, UPS, or USPS, or DHL to move stuff in parcels, then chances are you're leaving money on the table because your packers are making counterintuitive, they're making intuitive yet costly packing decisions. What do I mean by that? Specifically, when it comes to in this more like B2B context, where you'd, let's say, have a 3PL that's moving stuff for a brand from a distribution center to a retail store, right? And you're shipping maybe 100 pounds worth of product from that distribution center to that retail store, right? That 100 pounds worth of stuff, maybe it's like 100 units, and they each weigh a pound. These 100 pounds worth of stuff, how do you move it from, I don't know, New Jersey to Florida, right? You can put everything in one big box. Maybe you put it on a pallet, or maybe you break it down into 4 smaller boxes, or maybe you do 1 big box and 2 medium-sized boxes, or maybe you do 10 small boxes, right? And all of these decisions, they impact costs. Like, there's a gazillion ways you can ship 100 pounds across the country, but only one of them is good. There's a few that are like price reasonable, and then there's a bunch of them that are just where you're overpaying. And the key insight that I discovered with customers here that I'm working with in New Jersey is that if you let people make these decisions about how many boxes to use, what to put into which box, they're leaving money on the table, on average, like 10 to 20%. And so, the value prop of Perseuss is, do you want human packers making these decisions that impact your bottom line, or do you want to have a mathematically optimal system, run all the simulations and give you the correct answer every time, right? If the latter, give me a call. Okay, no more free promo.
No, hey man,
No,
that's
yeah, I was
Go
going to
ahead.
say, I mean, that, people that own small businesses, right? And first of all, I think it's awesome, because I think for those of us that were in corporate America and saw the way things run and the resources we had from larger companies, right? And then you see these smaller companies that need those same resources, but obviously don't have the funds and the
Right.
P&L to support it. That's where services like yours comes in huge, it's in huge demand, because when you're a small business owner, you know your craft, you know what you're selling, you know your item, right? But the financial side of it, the packing side of it, all this other stuff, you're not an expert in. And to your point, right? You spend probably tenfold the amount of money that you need to spend on it, where bringing somebody like you in that knows it and has the expertise to be able to slim that up and let the small business owner focus on what they know, which is their craft, which is what they're selling, and let you focus on what you know.
Yeah.
And then, so it's awesome. I mean, the more things like this can help small businesses, I think is really good.
Yeah, absolutely. That is, I think, the arbitrage here that I'm trying to let more and more business owners be aware of, is that a lot of these problems in the warehouse, that it might feel like you'd need to hire someone with a PhD and pay them $200K base salary, right? There's SaaS solutions that get you maybe not 100% of the way, but they can get you like 80% of the way for a fraction of the cost, right? And so that's kind of the value proposition of Perseuss. Is like you don't have to hire an operations research scientist, right? Just or like a mathematician or whoever. Just we have this like out of the box solution. There's some configuration. There's some like obviously some deployment time and whatever, but it's a stable solution, saves a lot of money, and yeah, fraction of the cost. Generally, like we pay ourselves from the savings, from a fraction of the savings that we give you. So it should be the easiest invoice that you pay.
Well, it's funny. And Pedro, I don't know if you dealt with this when you guys first started shipping out the logistics lounge gear, right? Was it ever a thing where you shipped it directly from your house, or has it always been set up to where it ships from the warehouse?
No, we've always had it set up to where it's drop shipping.
Okay.
Yeah.
So like when I think about, and we ship out, goodie bags, right, of swag, right? But I think about packing that, right? I don't have a custom box for it, right? So it's whatever box happens that I happen to have sitting around, right? I try to stuff as much stuff as I possibly can in there and make sure it's secure. But if you think about that from if I was actually selling that stuff, or from a consumer or a small business owner that has something, right? I mean, you are trying to save money. Yeah. And you're come up with whatever solution you can possibly put your hands on. But at the end of the day, you probably end up spending more. So
more than you need to,
yeah.
Right? And that's So and that's actually like there's this like consumer angle that I'm exploring too, because what ended up happening is that what ends up happening more and more is that now my friends now that my friends kind of like understand what I'm doing, I get like like once a week now, like a text from a friend that are like, hey, like I'm shipping this thing from A to B. I'm shipping this thing across the country to my mom, but USPS is charging me $50 for this. Is this normal? Like, am I doing something wrong? Like, is there a cheaper way to do it? Or is this, you know what I mean? And so I feel like there's even like this angle where a regular person should be able to come to Perseuss and be like, hey, I'm shipping this stuff. Like, tell me what's the cheapest way to pack it, and who's the cheapest carrier for this particular situation, right? I don't have a product for that yet, but it's pending.
All right, Thomas. My next question is, run me through, getting set up with you guys, and then walk into the gaming part of this. So, I'm a new customer, and give me the rundown. How do we do this? You come in live on site, set up. How does all that run?
Yeah. So we'd come in, and you have a warehouse management system, right? So warehouse management system is this like IT infrastructure that mainly holds the data of your inventory, right? Like how many items you have of what, where exactly in the warehouse it lives. And it's also, it manages the life cycle of the orders, right? Orders come in, someone needs to pick the order, someone needs to pack the order. So there's a light integration with your WMS, right? So we handle that. Depending, that implementation is going to depend a little bit on like what WMS you have. If you have like the WMS that we're used to working with, it's going to be very quick. If you have someone like exotic or someone, who's a little bit more complicated, it could take a little longer, but we'll handle that for you. And then, so once we integrate it, then we go and we train, then we need to train the packers, right? And generally that entails, because the packer, in most warehouses right today, despite all the hype about robots and stuff, in most warehouses today, humans still make majority of these decisions and do majority of this like soft work of like taking items and putting them into box. In most warehouses, humans still do it, right? And so the packers generally are used to just being told, this is the order and these are the items, pack it, right? And then they, if they're lucky, they get a box suggestion, but often they don't get a box suggestion. So they need to like decide the box and then they pack. So they So they're kind of on their own, but they also have a certain level of autonomy, right? Like in that like narrow field, they kind of decide what box to use and how to put the items there. With Perseuss, generally there's a little bit of slight learning curve at the beginning of like sort of changing the mindset. Like the packer now needs to follow the instructions of the system a little bit more precisely, right? Because to achieve, if there's 100 pounds worth of stuff and the system figured out the cheapest way to split it is to split it into 3 boxes, and like these 30 items go into this box and these 40 items go into that box, it's important that the packer puts the items in their correct boxes, right? And so then we just need to train the packer on how to do this sorting correctly. And that's where the gamification comes into play, where, what I've realized is there's a little bit of for the packer, you're saving money for the business and everything. Like that's great, right? But for the packer, you're actually making the job slightly more difficult, right? Not in like you're making him slower, like over time, actually the packer generally gets faster, but like you're making the job is a little bit more tedious now because there's an extra level of precision that you require from the packer, right? And so that's where gamification comes in, like to minimize the amount of errors and to make the packer like his job more instead of hate his job more. Now that we introduce this more play, like we need to make that sorting process a little bit more fun. And so the way we did it at Perseuss is like we added like these little features in the user interface that like shows them, as they scan things, it shows them in like an animated way what to put where. We kind of like track a little progress bar of like you're almost there. With one customer here in New Jersey, we have like a light system that as people are grabbing items and scanning them, it's like blinking lights. So it's like showing them where to put stuff. So it's like visually very pleasing and fun. And oh yeah. Okay, let's if you go in the middle.
Yeah, I know exactly what part you're talking about because I watched this earlier, so I know exactly what part you're talking about.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Yeah, so that's my.
Yeah, we'll start right there. You should be able to hear it. Y'all should
in the
be
warehouse. This is one of our customers. They're, in this blue
Can you
bin.
hear it?
That's the purchase order. 50 pounds worth of stuff, 100 items or more. Her job is to sort it into boxes in a way that's most cost efficient. The system has already computed for her that there's one big box and 2 medium-sized boxes. And now, as she's scanning the individual items into the system it's telling it with these light strips where to put the individual items. That's the zoom out, how it's being used. On the software side, it looks as follows. This is the order history, live data. We can grab a particular interesting order. This is a big order. Let's try to replay this big order. We see it's going from New Jersey to Louisiana, 284 items, 75 pounds. These are the boxes that, this is like a configuration of the system. We want the packer to use all possible boxes, but sometimes when we run out of cartons, we want the system to be smart enough to like optimize without a certain carton. We also let this fill rate be a little, but try to less.
I think that was all of the.
Still using.
All right. Well, it showed the system, so you kind of get started. If you have a video that you want to show that's better, man, you can pull one up and just put share screen if you want to, give a visual of what you're talking about, Thomas. That's what I was trying to do, but the video didn't show it well enough.
I just okay, share screen. Share my screen. Let's go. I just shared one on LinkedIn actually. Da-da-da.
So while you're doing this, up to what size, I guess, company or organization are you helping now? I mean, you're focusing more on the small parcel stuff. So, and you say small business, but at what up to what level are you at with someone?
So these guys, they're $100 million revenue company. So they have 100,000 square facility in northern New Jersey, and yeah, they're doing very well. They have a good WMS, and they have decent level of automation, and they have 16 packers using the system in parallel all day every day. We're saving them 40,000 around between 30 and 40,000 a month on an average month, on mainly USPS shipping. They use FedEx and USPS, and mostly they use USPS because the stuff they ship is like regulated, and certain carriers like FedEx, US, and UPS, they don't really want to touch some of the stuff they ship, so they have to use USPS, and they need to use certain ship methods for certain products. If it turns out, this is one of the strengths of Perseuss, is that like if you have a bunch of these like regulations about what can be shipped how, and how that impacts cost, instead of teaching the packers all these rules, right? You just encode it in the system, and then the packer just follows it. But yeah, so that's the main customer. We're working with like smaller 3PLs too, like 10 million a year 3PL business. But we're also working on getting pilots with some like heavy hitters. So it doesn't really matter to us, like where as long as your orders have a profile in which we can save money, right? Then we can save money. And if you have one big warehouse, we can do one big warehouse. If it's software, at the end of the day, we can scale it pretty much infinitely to how big your organization, how big the contract is. Like we'll just our service, right? Doesn't really matter to us. So this is how the gamification works right now. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So so this big cart represents an order. Some of it is already packed here, but this could be maybe, I don't know, 70 pounds worth of stuff. When she scans it into the application here, the application tells her, okay, we're going to use 3 boxes. These are the 3 boxes. And, the system has decided 1/3 of this is going to go into box 1.
Can you enlarge it, Thomas, back when you had it?
Yeah. Yeah. The system's going to tell her, okay, subset of this is going to go into box on the right. Subset of this is going to go into box left. And so then she, her job is to like sort it, right? And obviously one way to do it is like we can just sort of like show her on the screen, these items need to go in box 1, these items need to go in box 2. But then it like really complicates her life, actually. So that's why we had to go with a bit more of a gamified solution, where how can she process, what's the easiest way for her to show her what to put where? Well, as she grabs things and she scans it, the system starts blinking a light and visually guides her.
Can that software be used for anything? So I just happened to think, like, could that software eventually be like, hey, I need to pack a trailer, right? Here's the dimensions of a trailer and the items that are going in there. What's the best way to pack it, right?
Oh, absolutely.
If you think about that, right? I mean, like, I was literally just sitting here thinking, like, man, I'm going to send him the dimensions of my trailer with the toys that I put in there, and he can tell me the best way to put them on there. You know what I mean? Like I was thinking about that, right? I mean, looking at that right there, I mean, it seems like it could be endless.
Absolutely.
So your system, I mean, is it pulling? How does it figure out what box is the best? You know, depending on who they're shipping with, and you know, are you pulling, you know, parcel rates and stuff from their preferred carriers, I guess?
Yeah. So any customer is going to have a if you're a 3PL or if you have a warehouse and you're shipping stuff on behalf of other people or on behalf of your own company, right? You're going to have an account with your preferred carrier, right? You could have an account with just one carrier, or you can have multiple accounts and you can kind of play them against each other, right? And so there's some public rates that are out there that I have already configured in my system. You know, this is the USPS Priority Mail public rate. This is the FedEx Ground public rate card, right? And that's fine, but what ends up happening is that once you reach a certain volume as a business, you know, you're gonna get a call from FedEx, and FedEx is gonna be like, "Hey, why don't you give me all your volume? You know, I know you shipping some with us, but a little bit with UPS too and USPS too. Why don't you give everything to us, and we'll give you a better rate," and stuff like that. So then you'll get into this state where everyone has their own rate cards. The structures of the contracts are the same, but the specific numbers that are plugged into the formulas are a little bit different. So whenever I'm, you know, it's part of the onboarding process, is that, you know, I just get the rate cards and I plug them into the customer's account, and then the system knows what exactly the customer, you know, what are the rates that the customers is playing with, and then we just play with that and minimize that.
Cool, man. Now, what is the next step? I mean, and are you trying to scale this up for like LTL shipments? You know, you're talking about 3PLs and, you know, stuff like that. And, you know, it seems that, but yeah, sorry, I'm not even going to kill it. Are you trying to work your way up to, you know, pallets, you know, maybe even truckloads or whatever you want to say, partial loads, whatever?
Yeah. Let me share my screen. And I'll and short answer, yes. What actually we're doing already is so this order, right? This was, I think, around 80 pounds worth of stuff, right? So, but they sometimes have a cart that's 200 pounds worth of stuff, right? And so once you're shipping 200 pounds from New Jersey to Florida, let's say, it's not entirely clear. Is it cheaper to parcel it out, send like 5 big boxes, or is it cheaper to just put it on a pallet and, like, you know, call your LTL provider, right? And so actually, these guys, how they're using it right now is, you know, in the past, there was a guy, you know, the shipping manager, his name is Douglas, one of my favorite people in the company, the nicest guy. So my boy Douglas, the shipping manager, he would make a gut call. It's like, okay, this is 200 pounds worth of stuff. It's going to like Maryland. Let's put it on a pallet and let's call, you know, Old Dominion, right? Now Douglas doesn't have to guess, right? He can take the order, he can run it through Perseuss. Perseuss tells him, okay, this is how much it's going to cost if you parcel it out. You know, the cheapest option is to use 5 big boxes. This is how you split the items between the boxes, right? So he sees that on the Perseuss screen. Then he can go on the Old Dominion screen and he can like build out a pallet for that order and get a real-time quote for LTL. And then he can compare the two rates, and then he can decide, okay, let's parcel it out, or, oh no, let's do LTL. And they're actually using it so much that I'm now building like an integration where like Perseuss does both. Perseuss like builds a pallet virtually and gets a quote from LTL provider, and in parallel it tries to parcel it out and it shows the cheapest option. It's not live yet, but this was like such a natural progression that like it's a feature that these guys keep asking me about. So we're building it.
I like that, man. That's cool. I
That's
figured,
really cool.
yeah. I mean, like, he kept saying 3PL, and like my whole time I'm just thinking, like there are so many people who have warehouse space that, they'll have. Matter of fact, here's the thing, an example. Even though Mr. Steven Tittle, we have a friend, he does first, final mile, all kinds of stuff. So even though Steven delivers this stuff himself, all right, when Steven came down here to me, he had like 4 or 5 different deliveries on his truck. He had kept this stuff in his warehouse and waited until he could put enough stuff together to make a trip worth it to go deliver everything to that area. You know what I mean? So point is not everyone is like Steven though. You know what I mean? Not everyone has trucks and such. So, but there are folks that are in that situation where, they've gotten something that got imported or whatever, and it's sitting in their warehouse, and they got to throw a bunch of stuff together. What is the best way? If I've got a piece going to Phoenix, and then something going to Houston, and then one going to Jacksonville, where it's like, all right, cool, can I just can I throw this all together and put it on a truck, and what's the best option for that? So like that's where my mind is going with this, man. So
yeah, it's a fascinating space. It's just so complicated. Just you guys know logistics, just moving stuff is hard. So, and like, even when you zoom in on like a very specific problem in the whole like family of problems, it's still complicated, right? Because it's like you have multiple carriers, the carriers have different rate structures. And then you have like, at some point you get the LTLs, you get the FTLs. Then at some point, customers realize something that these customers in New Jersey realized a few years ago. It's like, well, New Jersey is so dense, and we get so many orders around this area, like the tri-state area, New Jersey, New York, that we can actually deliver profitably using our own fleet. So they hired a couple of drivers, and they have their own vans. That subset of their order, they just deliver themselves. Vertical integration, but it's like it like complicates the supply chain now too, right? Because now it's so interesting, infinitely interesting.
And as you dig into one problem, 4 and 5 other ones pop up that you have to solve for. Yeah, the joys of logistics.
Yeah, no, it's fascinating. I love it. Like the math geek in me is like, yes, let's go.
Yeah, and Thomas, you're also in a very unique situation in the fact that our industry, like pretty much everything else, it's tech heavy. I mean, everything is going towards how can tech eliminate some type of function or help make some type of function better. And you being in the space that you have this coding background, this math background, this even your supply chain knowledge, at the Amazon level. I mean, just hearing about the way that they do stuff is incredible. I mean, and go back to the first part of the conversation, who'd have thought that they're out there hiring physicists and mathematicians and stuff, man, to figure out supply chain and warehouse problems. I mean, that's pretty crazy. So my point is, you're in a unique situation that, you can just create the tech at whim, for the most part, man, and solve as many problems as you want. So it's pretty neat, man. As they say, I guess you're the future of it, Thomas. You really are, man.
Let's see, man. So far, it's been going pretty well. I'm very bullish. I'm generally very bullish on America, and I'm just sitting here very optimistic about the future. And I like the supply chain, the way the supply chains are evolving, and the way.
Do we lose him again?
Yeah.
Oh, I love.
There he is. That's that New Jersey internet, man.
I'm like, dude. I'm like, I thought we're more first world than this, but I guess no. So yeah.
I actually heard y'all have better internet over in Europe, man. I heard y'all's internet is like fire over there.
It depends on the country.
Yeah. Yeah, well,
I live,
I'll give you. Yes, you're correct. Right. I still heard they get better internet than we do over here.
yeah. So they certain things they have certain things that are better, but
I'm sure they do.
hey, like I'll give you this. I can live in Europe, I can live in America. I choose to live here. There's a reason for that.
All right, we can just leave it. All right,
There you go.
all
Let's
right. We'll just leave it there, man. We'll just leave it there. Let's not break any show rules here.
So, Thomas, the one thing that I know very little about, but obviously I have a business that I need to use it a lot, which is why I have IT Brian that does it all. But coding is very interesting, right? I don't realize, or I never did realize, how much coding goes into everything. Like just little things, like because I break shit all the time on my computer, and my brother's got to log in and remote into it and fix it for me. It's constant. It's probably the whole point of having the business, just so he can be my free tech guy. But like the littlest things, he's like, "Oh, you did this and you broke the code." I'm like, "What code? Like bro code? Like what are you talking about? What's code?" Right? But it's so interesting how you can literally make things dance. Like when you have, code writing and writing code and fixing code and repair, or however you want to do it is pretty amazing. And when you have that, I don't have that mindset, right? I can make an Excel thing dance, but the coding and all that stuff is very interesting. And when you have that mind, that brain that can dig in there and do that is pretty cool.
Yeah, no, it is very interesting, it can sometimes feel a little bit like a superpower when you can, because then suddenly you can make the computer do what it was not originally designed to do.
Yeah.
Right. Which is quite fascinating. With coding, it's actually quite reassuring that you're saying this, because like the last 2 years, coders have been getting a lot of a lot of crap from everyone on like, oh, we have ChatGPT, we're not going to need coders like next year. Like coders are obsolete, like, in 6 months because of OpenAI released a new model and blah, blah, blah. And yeah, it turns out you still need coders,
Yeah. Who's going to fix ChatGPT when it goes down? You're going to need the coders.
That's exactly right. That's what, like, there's a term for it right now. It's called vibe coding, which is like when you have like a person who never wrote software in his life now, like chat GPTing how to like write like a simple dummy demo app. And it's called vibe coding now, right? And it's so funny because like the people who like are behind all these AI products, they want to like sort of convince everyone that you can build production ready stuff. Just you can like vibe code your way to stuff that you can sell to real customers with real money. But it turns out you can't really. And but there's so many people like just pushing this story that you can. And yeah, but it turns out like writing software that works, that like works, that like people can depend on is really hard. Is really, really hard. And as you said, like even if you have software that like almost never breaks, you still want to have an engineer on payroll when it does break, so that he can go fix it immediately.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean it's even like the apps that we're making, right? It's like, yeah, we could charge the logistics lounge a crap ton of money and go out and spend and create them a super expensive actual app, right? Or you can write code around the website and then actually create it into an app, change it up a little bit with code that works like an app, but yet it saved you a whole bunch of money versus going out and paying somebody a ton of money to create this super expensive app. So I mean, but it's all done in coding. And I get 2 years ago, you can ask me about coding. I still don't know how to read it. I don't know how to write it. I get to sit back and watch him work on video being done, and it's pretty interesting. Just like we were saying, you can make a computer dance with coding, and it's really neat. But the AI stuff and all these different things that are out there, somebody's got to fix them, right? It's like It's like the stupid EV vehicles, right? I mean, somebody's still gotta fix them. Things might drive themselves.
Yeah.
But eventually
Somebody's
got to take control of it.
Yeah, someone needs to go to jail when they kill someone, right? Like,
Yeah.
who's that going to be?
You can't send the car to jail.
Yeah, So, yeah, yeah, that's a whole other question.
Yeah.
No, thank you for the reassuring words. Like, yeah, it turns out you still need coders. You might need a little bit less of them, right? Because coders can churn out more code than they used to, because they have all these like tools that help them write code faster, and that's fine. But yeah, you still need a coder, man. You still need that neck to choke when it breaks.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
Like
that's a good way to put it.
Hey, we're not working for you, Thomas.
Yeah, especially in these critical. Okay. Like if you're building, I don't know, like a dating app, right? You can almost vibe code a dating app. It's like, okay, dating app broke. It's like, okay, whatever, right? But like imagine I don't know, like truck routing software, right? That like every day routes like 1,000 trucks to deliver stuff to real people who paid real money to have stuff on their door. Okay, so now it breaks down. Are the drivers gonna chat GPT the solution to that? Like, no. Like you want to go call someone and yell at someone to have fix it right now, right?
I'm with you, man. I need you. I'm like Steve, dude. I'm not I understand code and all that stuff, but I'm not really a tech guy. I take tech to the level that it serves the purpose I need it to serve, and then I just don't go beyond that. I don't know. I have limited brain space, man. So you know what I mean. Like I gotta what I decide to keep there, it has to be of vital importance.
Sure.
So, but I mean, I appreciate tech. It does make our lives easier. So.
100%.
We do need you. We do need some. Tech people are like the new bankers. Like they made. Bankers created the banking system. Tech people, they created this, and to give their self employment security. That's what this is. It is all a conspiracy, Steve, and we are uncovering it here live on the Lounge with Thomas.
Man, I tell you, the things we're gonna cover on this show is
yeah, right. All right, hey, Thomas, we're going to start winding it down, but we want to talk about you being a competitive athlete, man. Great bio, by the way. So let's get into that. You got up to a pretty high level doing gymnastics, and tell us specifically what type of gymnastics you did.
So it's artistic gymnastics. So it's the gymnastics you see on the Olympics. So like Simone Biles, but the male version of that. Except I was way worse than Simone Biles, obviously. Did you guys watch the Olympics this year or last year?
A little bit.
Did you guys notice that the USA gymnastics team, the men, had like a historic performance that they did?
No. Nuh-uh. And there's that dang New Jersey internet again.
Damn, this New Jersey internet.
Start talking about the Olympics and the shit just shuts down.
So
it's a conspiracy.
So Team USA, the male USA gymnastics team, actually did very well. They pulled bronze in the overall team, and then they had this guy on the pommel horse that won a bronze, and it broke the internet because it was this like super nerdy dude that was like, he was on the Olympics, he won a medal, but he posted on Instagram not a picture of him with his medal, but a picture of him like solving a Rubik's Cube or whatever. Like, it was really funny. But yeah, so that's the gymnastics I do. Like if I was good like these guys, I'd be on the Olympics, but I wasn't, so I just made the Junior Olympics, which was cool too. But I when I was 17, I qualified for the Junior Olympics, and I did kind of mid. I was kind of mid, I think there were like 80 gymnasts. I was number 50 in the end. So the thing is that like the difference between like the Junior Olympics and the real Olympics was like, it feels like Junior Olympics, you're almost the real Olympics, but in the reality is like the gap. And And especially for the Junior Olympics, you're 17, right? Like you're only competing with kids that are 15, 16, 17, right? The moment you turn 18 and you compete for the real Olympics, you're competing with all the 8, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, all these guys, right? That have been, and these guys just kept getting better every year. And, but yeah, but then I went from like, good enough for Junior Olympics at 17 to 18 being completely at the bottom of like the pipeline for the real Olympics. And then university started and I was like, okay, like, there's no way there's no way I can study and prepare for the real Olympics. And also like the chance of me, even if I, that was the biggest thing. Like, even if I did commit, to like 6 hours a day, 6 times a week, there's a very high chance I still wouldn't make it, that I wouldn't even qualify. And then I would qualify and I would be maybe like, 50 out of 100, right? So it's like...
Dude, man, okay, like, all you did was downplay all of that stuff. For one, that's still pretty damn good because, I mean, how many people do you know right now, that can you do still any of the stuff that you do? Do you still train doing any of that?
Yeah,
how many people do you know right now that can do that?
Yeah, no, I'm proud of my...
What, come on, man, like that's pretty special, dude. Like that's
no, I appreciate that. Yeah. No, thank you. And I still practice. I can do backflips. I can break dance, and I'm in like a decent shape. Gymnastics has given me a lot, not just like the physical health, but sort of the attitude toward life, right? Because generally, and gymnastics is not special in this, like most competitive sports just kind of teach you from early age that like you try, doesn't work, you try again, doesn't work, you try again, doesn't work. Oh, it hurts, doesn't matter, try again, right? And I think kids that go through this routine, they're just kind of like ready for life a little more. And
I agree.
Yeah,
I agree with you, man. Sports teaches everything, man. So I guess the competitive stuff is good, man.
Mm-hmm.
Teaches you how to dust yourself off and get back up again. And you ain't always going to be number one. And when you are number one, there's always going to be someone that's number two that's eventually going to be number one.
Yeah, no, but it was a fabulous journey doing gymnastics. It's also like you build these friendships because I mean, still, I was practicing during my peak years, 15, 16, 17, 4 hours a day, 6 days a week. So you're in the gym, just kind of suffering on most days. Occasionally there's a day where the practice is kind of fun, right? It's like, yeah, like it's kind of working today. Like nothing really hurts. That happens maybe like once every 2 weeks. You have like a day. Most days are just like a grind, right? And you're there, but it's a grind for you, but it's a grind for all the other kids too. So like the friendships, right? And also the coach, right? You have the coach whose job is to like teach you gymnastics, but his job is also to, kind of make sure you don't give up, right? He needs to keep you disciplined, but he also needs you to like...
Oh, there he is. Oh, no.
Everybody's getting out of work in New Jersey and logging.
I know, that's it, bro. Streaming that dang Netflix, man. Sucking up that bandwidth, dude.
Everybody's going to Google 2024 gymnastics right now.
Oh, there he is. Thomas is back.
All right. Oh my God, I'm sorry.
Dude,
New
it's cool.
New Jersey's definitely
Nah.
like, what's the word? Leaving me down, or what's the phrase? Letting me down.
No. It honestly happens all the time on the show. It's happened to me. It's happened to Steve. Well, I don't know.
Man, remember that show when your internet was going I remember that when your
Yes.
internet was going crazy that one time. I
God,
thought you were going to lose your mind.
dude, I didn't remember that. Oh my Lord, that was a freaking nightmare. All right, we're gonna wind it down. We're at an hour and 15 minutes now, and dude,
So
Thomas,
fun.
thank you. Like, thanks just for coming on and hanging out, man. And I want to give a shout out, Thomas. Don't leave. We're gonna get you some final comments, but I want to give a shout out to Nathan Cheney and Chris Pride with Supply Chain Social Club, because if I'm not mistaken, Thomas, we met at like warehouse after dark or
Yep,
late
yep.
night freight, one of those events, didn't we?
Yep. Shout out to my boy Nathan.
All right, thought so. Yeah, cool. So Steve, before we let Nathan say his final thing, we'll get to our final sponsor break and stuff. You have anything that you want to add before we end the conversation?
No, I mean, I thought this was very informational. I mean, you've had a lot of really great guests on the show, and we've had some lately that you guys have had some lately that have really struck my interest on a few things, and this was one of them. When I think about getting into the retail element or stuff like that, and being able to have something to orchestrate the shipment. So no, I mean, very very informational, Thomas, and I really like it. And like I said earlier, I think bringing it from a large corporate company, and I don't like to use the word dumbing it down, right? But I can't ever think of the right phrase to say. But bringing it home to the smaller companies is near and dear to my heart. And I think this was something great to bring to small business.
Thank you. Means a lot.
Yeah.
All right, Thomas. Now, do you have any final comments, questions, concerns, updates? You want to give yourself some plugs?
No plugs, just guys, this was awesome. Thank you for having me here. I really enjoyed yapping about myself and my company. It's probably my favorite activity in the world anyway, so thanks for being an audience for that. But I just this is very fun, and I really enjoyed this. And I'm like, are you guys doing any live trade shows? Are you guys doing any events in person this year? I'd love to meet you in person.
We'll be at Mid-America Truck Show, which is in 2.5 weeks. That's in Louisville, Kentucky. You can look that up. Tickets are free for that. That's probably the biggest event of the year, but we'll be there. Broker Carrier Summit. That is the first one is in Indianapolis. That is at the end of April. And dude, honestly, I have to send you a list, man. Like, we're gonna go to
send me a list.
We're gonna go to so many things, but Mid-America Truck Show. I mean, we can give that plug too. Like I said, that is in 2 weeks. It is March 27th, 28th, 29th, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. So Louisville, Kentucky. Tickets are free. And hey, come see us. We're going to be in the Freight Ninja booth in the South Wing. We're going to have Nate Johnson, Robert Bain's going to hang out with us from Freight Movement. Their whole team's going to be there. We're taking down the divider wall, and we're just going to have one big freaking booth of just, logistics people hanging out, having a good time. We're going to do morning coffee shows with Road Dog Coffee. So, hey, you got to come to Mid-America Truck Show. If you're not signed up already, you can make it. Got to come on out there. And Thomas wouldn't give himself any plugs, but I will give him some plugs. You can find Thomas's company, Perseuss, at getperseuss.com. Make sure you put 2 S's in Perseuss. You can also find Perseuss on LinkedIn as well. Just search up Perseuss, again, 2 S's. Pull up Thomas as well as is on LinkedIn. If you go find Perseuss and you hit employees, Thomas is under there, so you can just knock out 2 birds with 1 stone there. So I'll give you some plugs, Thomas. You deserve them, bro.
Appreciate you, man.
You're very welcome. Stick with us. We're going to do a quick final sponsor break and tell everyone what we got going on Friday, and we'll end the show, and then we'll chop it up for a second afterwards. You got a few minutes?
Oh, absolutely.
Cool. Nice. Awesome. Freight Ninja. Hey, like I said, that's whose booth we're going to be at. They bought the Logistics Lounge a booth. We told them they didn't know what they were getting themselves into, but they said, no, we got to do it. So you got to come out to the booth, Freight Ninja. They're solving that truck parking problem. You can go to their website, scrolling across the bottom of your screen, or call that number. Make sure you use the code Lounge Ninja to get yourself some special rates. All right. And Trailer Century by 7P GPS. Their main focus is asset and cargo protection with a really cool device. But once you get the device, you get on the platform, it honestly can do a lot more stuff. So you go hit them up. Oh, brain fart. Sorry. Websites going across the bottom of your screen, 7pgps.com. Give them an email, give them a call, or shoot them an email, give them a call. I'm going to just shut up and just roll the commercial. How about that? All right, that's going to do it for us. We appreciate everybody watching today. You can, I don't know what I was going to say. Now I know what I was going to say. Man, dude, my brain is collapsing, bro. I need to go lay down and take a nap. That's exactly what this is. You can catch us Friday afternoon. We will have Matt and Will from Two Dogs One Pod. They both are also in the logistics industry, so they're going to come on, hang out with us, and we're just going to chit chat about logistics. Maybe even do an impromptu freestyle Friday. We'll see how things go. So y'all have a good one. Even though he's not here, we're still going to do it, and I'll just hit it. But chunk the deuces, Mr. Hound, roll that beautiful bean footage.
The views and opinions expressed on this show by its guests are not necessarily those of Lounge Media Group or the show host. So if you sue someone, make sure it's the party responsible for hurting your feelings. Also, grow up, be an adult, and understand not everyone thinks like you. And that's okay.